You are never alone. You are never alone. Just reach into your heart and Allah is always there. You are never alone. You are never alone. Through sorrow and through grief, through happiness and peace, you are never alone.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. A new episode of Family Issues. We want first to tell you the telephones of the episode, because now in this episode we want you to join us and be very active in the questions and in interaction. So have the numbers on the screen: 00202 38 555 248 and 249. You remember, if you noticed or remind you, the previous episode was about family fun and how we can increase the degree of fun in the lives of our children and in the lives of the members, every member in the family. So this is, as we have said in the last time, is a very essential and important part of the lives of every person. In order to produce and be a good productive person, a healthy person, by definition of the WHO or the UNICEF, you have to be happy. And happiness comes from fun and from satisfying yourself. So this was the previous episode. Today, we want to assure this meaning, in other words, by saying that fun is one of a very big group of rights that our children has to have. Because some people unfortunately think that the rights of our children is just feeding them, making them have a school, paying on them some money, because they should pay money. No, it's not a materialistic point like this, or not a financial issue in this way. No, it's the point that you have to have an aim, a target in your mind, and you have to put the software in the heads or the brains or the hardwares of your children in order to raise them in a very high quality of persons, to be active in life and to be productive, as we have said. First, let me remind you or tell you that we are, in the next few weeks, inshallah, we are going to have so many other issues in the family which are very important, like, for example, what's called virtual friendship. I mean, friendship through connecting with people through the net or the Facebook or some things like this. We are going to have an episode about this. Also, from the other topics, the play and story therapy and everything that's non-traditional, in the meaning that you want to raise your child, you want to increase or improve his level of education in an untraditional way. Family fitness. This is speaking about the diets of the children, the diets of the whole members of the family, and their fitness and the bodybuilding, in order to be caring about also the physical issues in the family. Also, there is one of the episodes is going to speak about what's called the dumb scientists, because so many scientists were originally failing in their schools and they were expelled and so on. School violence, domestic violence, child abuse, brain foods, so many other topics that we are going to speak in the next few weeks, inshallah. Let me now speak about what we are trying to confirm this episode, which is the rights of a child. Nowadays, unfortunately, people, no kidding, are not caring about raising their children in a high-quality way. As I said, everyone is just paying attention to the money he pays, the clothes he wears or lets his children wear, because they have to appear in front of others in a good way. That's the whole point, which is very superficial. We are moving in a spontaneous way. We are raising our children in an automatic way, without putting a policy, without putting a plan. This is miserable, because it doesn't mean, or it means that we're not going to have, in the next few years, a good future. This applies to the whole Middle East and what they call the third world, or the developing countries. So we have to put in our minds, every parent, every caregiver, that you have to be careful about the plan. this reminds me also that we are going to have one of the episodes about the quality criteria of a child caregiver, or the one who cares. He has to have so many quality criteria. We are going to discuss them in another episode, inshallah. But in this episode, the question is, what does my child need? And maybe he needs sometimes unnecessary needs, and other times he needs very important things. He's not my guide. He's not my guide to tell me what to care about and what not to care about. But the point is, he helps me by leading me to the way. He likes to be taught in a funny way. He likes to be led in an untraditional way, not in a traditional or in a monotonous or routine way of teaching. That's the way. Every child has his own way to tell us how to infuse knowledge to him. But the knowledge itself, or the rights, we have to be discussing these things in this issue, because, as I say, unfortunately, so many people are not knowing what's important and what is not important. Also, there's a very important point that we are going to discuss during this episode, is what's called the behavioral rights. The behavioral rights. What does this mean? It means that the way we behave with our children is not, we are not allowed to do what we want without any control. No, we have to be controlled. Okay, religions and traditions control us, and sometimes we inherit from our parents the way we raise our children, no matter about this. But put in your mind a very important word I remember now by Ali ibn Abi Talib, when he said that you have to raise your child in a way that is different from the way you were raised by, because your child was created to another era that's different from yours. Can you understand this? You have to raise your child not in the way you have been raised by. Your parents raised you, for example, in a strict way, in a way that you have to do this and you don't have to do that. They ordered you to do so and so and so. This is a way. Maybe this was applicable in the previous era or in the previous times when your parents were raising you or caring about you. But nowadays, in these days, the way you raise your children is completely different. And this is a fact in life. As I said, the WHO and the UNICEF put rules, put some suggestions for the rights of the children. There are so many. And if you are speaking about, for example, children that are present on the territories in the rural areas or in every place they have to have rights. Maybe it's different from other places. The child in the city is having rights that are different from that one in the village, and so on. So therefore, we are going to discuss, but maybe after the break, we are going to discuss what are these rights and what are the rules that control these rights. So we'll see you after the break.
You are never alone. You are never alone.
You have questions that bother you. What about issues of concern to you? Would you like to share things on your mind with us? Are you interested in solutions based on an Islamic perspective? Please join me live in Meet Your Advisor every Friday at 9 p.m. Mecca time, here on Huda TV.
Allah is beautiful and He loves beauty. So is it logical to say all plastic surgeries are lawful in Islam to bring or to regain beauty? It is very misleading questions. Need a very accurate and firm answers. Let us set up the rules and principles to cover all plastic surgeries in Islamic law. How Islam does legalize niqab or veil factor in our modern life? Is it fair to suggest that it is more cultural than it is Islamic? I would rather to answer these questions by just suggesting very shocking fact about niqab. Are you ready for that? How Islam does legalize polygamy, when Islam always says that respect natural instinct and natural feelings, and knowing that not a single woman does accept anyone to share her in her kingdom. All what you have said is true. But is there any difference between your natural instinct and your natural desires? Or maybe between your interest or what you wish to have? Or maybe your interest and other interest? Is it true that anything came after the Prophet ﷺ regarding this deen to be considered as a bid'ah, innovation? Is neither this nor that? It seems very well complicated and confusing to many Muslims, especially when it comes to the saying of the Prophet ﷺ, وَكُلَّ مُحْدَثَةٍ بِدْعَةٍ, and Sayyidina Umar saying, نِعْمَةُ الْبِدْعَةُ هَذِهِ. Let us set up the very comprehensive definition of bid'ah according to Islamic law.
As everyone knows, today Arabic is considered as very important, very significant language. How can we produce the sound, the state of voicing, place of articulation, and manner of articulation? So in Arabic, the words which are written are pronounced.
We will learn how to write and pronounce Arabic letters correctly in depth. Explanation via board and presentation with many other important factors.
We have today more than 300 million people speak Arabic language. Not only in the Middle East, but you can find a lot of people speak Arabic language in Asia, Europe, North America, and in South America.
What are you waiting for? Grab your notebook and pencil and stay tuned for Learn Arabic at Huda TV.
You are never alone. You are never alone.
Welcome back in Family Issues. We used to speak about the benefits that we want to gain in a family, and as we have discussed in the previous segments, we are speaking about the child's rights. First, let me indicate something very important. What is the job of a child? Why a child was created? Why we have children? What's their functions? What is the job description of a family, of a child, sorry. The job description of a child is 3 jobs. Number 1, to play. We have to know this very well because so many people are abusing their children without, not intentionally. They are not intending to abuse them. But when you make things or ask the child to do things that he's not used to do or he's not created for, this is some sort of abuse. So the 3 jobs of the child, number 1 is to play. If I examined a child and I found him not playing well, I mixed him with other children, for example, he's not mixing well, he's not playing any type of games, then this indicates that this child, in a way or another, is having a problem. This problem might be an organic one, medical one, or it might be a psychological one or a mental one. So it's unhealthy. It's unhealthy to find a child that cannot play. So it's a symptom, it's a sign. When you find a child not playing or not playing well or not connecting well with his age group of children, this means that this child is suffering from something or another. The second job in the job description or the function of the child is to discover, to explore. A child is like a scientist or like an observer that observes things and consequently he discovers. He all the time, the active one, the intelligent child, is all the time exploring things. He is opening the refrigerator to look inside. He is putting his hand in the electricity. He is playing with water. He is looking from the balcony. He is throwing things to discover gravity. Everything. So the intelligent children all the time are exploring things around them. This is another healthy sign. That this sign so many parents complain of. The child is making a mess. It's a chaos. He all the time is throwing things. He is making dirty experiments. It's really experiments. But these experiments are maybe costing high costs for the family. However, the end result is going to be very good. Physical experiments, like as I've said previously, fluids, the condition of the matter, fluids, solids, gases. He puts his hand in water. He spits on other children or on the floor. He throws things to discover, as I've said, gravity. He tries to touch hot things. He tries to put his hands in the plugs of electricity, and so on. All these are experiments. And if you leave your child, but under your observation, to continue discovering things, this is going to make him someday maybe a scientist or an artist. This was the story of so many artists. You know, there is a proverb that says, the greatest discoveries came by mistake. The greatest discoveries came by mistake. And this leads us to the third and the last job of a child. The last job is committing errors and committing mistakes. This may be astonishing. How come you say that a child's job is to commit errors? One of the nice mothers responded to this phrase when I said the third job of the child is to commit errors. She said, and my job is to correct these errors. I said, no, this is wrong. Your job is not to correct the errors or not to tell him what to do in the correct way. Your job is to provide him with a laboratory that lets him continue his experiments and make his errors. This makes him a scientist, because no way outside the fence of the house, no one is going to allow the child to commit these errors. The only place where it is accepted or you can help the child to experiment by himself is under the supervision of his parents and under the roof of his house. Now, there is another point, another very important point, which is, what is the job of the parents? The job of the child is to play, to discover, and to commit errors. What is the job of the parents? What's my job? We deliver children automatically, as I've said, and we pay money to feed them, to let them go to schools, to buy toys for them, but without an obvious or clear plan to lead us in our ways. The first job, we have four main jobs for a parent. The first one is to provide him with love and care. This is very important. You know what does this mean? It means that you have all the day long to hug your child, to kiss your child, to look eye-to-eye contact with your child, to connect by all means with your child and communicate with him, not to bring money and leave him, and to work as a banker outside house and without any contact with your child. This body language is one element of the first job of the child, which is to provide him with love and care. So many parents are not aware of this, or not having any time to do this, or just when he has his birthday or in some occasions or when he sleeps. No, it's the opposite. You have all the time to let the child feel your love by touch, by eye look, by words, by any means. Another job of a parent is to let him have sense of security. Sense of security. Your function as a father or as a mother is to let your child feel secure and not the opposite. I get sad when I see in my clinic and outside in the streets people who are spanking their children, who are threatening their children, who are telling their children bad words about the future. Like, for example, I will leave you alone, I will throw you away, I'll throw you in the streets, I'll divorce your mother, I'll separate from you, and so many other words that let the child forecast a very bad future for himself. Sometimes, very commonly, it's not uncommon to see a woman or a mother studying with her child on table, and he is distracted, looking here and there, and fidgeting, coming up in the chair and going down. So he frustrates his mother, and at the end she says, you are going to be a garbage man. You're not going to be a good person. And in this case, I myself, I finished my future and I'm successful. Your father is successful. Even your younger sister is successful. You are the one who's going to fail, and I think you are going to be a garbage man. This also, the child believes his mother. And this makes him feel scared, feels unsecure. Am I going to be a garbage man? My mother's going to leave home? She's going to leave me? Sometimes people who are separated or divorced, the child sleeps some days in his father's home, and at the end his father gets bored of him. He says, well, or if the child do something wrong, he says, well, go to your mother, I don't want you. And the same thing happens in his mother's home. Both of the parents are not paying attention to that the child's mind, or the tape of the cinema in his mind, the flash back of the scenes in this tape is full of spelling and yelling, and this doesn't forecast a good future for the child. So your job is to guarantee a good future for the child and tell him this. This is very important, to tell him and make him secure, of course, by body language and by telling him good things. In the previous days when we had here a revolution, for example in Egypt, the task or the job or the duty of a parent was, the good quality parent is to provide security for his child and to tell him, never mind, everything is going to be all right, and try to express for him what is going on in this revolution. We are having a phone call from Noha from Egypt. Assalamu alaikum, Noha.
Wa alaikum assalam.
How are you, Noha?
Fine, thank you.
Do you have any questions or comments?
Yes, please.
So go on, please.
Discussing the rights of children. Do these rights include living with my husband even if I believe that divorce is better for me?
Thank you very much, Noha. This is an embarrassing question and a very important one, and a very common question in so many houses. Unfortunately, so many people live in houses and they are not in love together. The spouses are not happy. But they are living because they have to live. They are having children. And it's a responsibility. So, what type of responsibility is this? To live with them, to pay for them, to feed them, to let them go to the bathroom, to pay for them to go to the school. But what's the most original function or job of a parent which is not done? The child has to live, as I've said now, in a secure environment. He has to feel secure. He has to feel cared of. But how come two parents who are not caring about each other and who are not matching together, they are not having harmony, they are yelling and quarreling all the time? Does this supply the child with security? So to answer the question of our sister Noha, I think the answer is, I'm not the one who is encouraging people to divorce, but I'm encouraging people to live a good quality of life. It's not good to live in a cloud full of black smokes or smugs. This is very bad for the health of the child, for the lungs of the child, and for the brain of the child, and for the psychology of the child. And this is going to be reflected in the future in very bad acts, or in that the child is not acclimatizing or adapting with life well. Yesterday I had one of the patients in my clinic. She is about 23 years old. She lived in the way of life that Noha was speaking about. About 23 years between two parents who are quarreling and yelling and criticizing each other all the time, but still they are living, still they are resisting. But what about this young girl's life? She's nowadays having a syndrome of very non-specific symptoms, like, for example, she feels that she's having shortness of breath sometimes, headache, blackness of vision or haziness. She feels all the time generalized body pains. She's feeling that she's not well all the time. And sometimes before exams or before any new event in her life, or if someone is proposing, for example, she feels very anxious and very irritated. Why is this? This is the end result of living in a family for a chronic, long period of time in a cloud of or atmosphere of quarreling and inconvenience and unmatching, heterogeneous, non-homogeneous, non-chemistry, or not a romantic house. This is the answer. Another job of a parent, the third one, is to give the children self-confidence. You have four jobs, I say. I repeat, you have 4 jobs when you are raising children. Number 1, as I've said, is love and care. Number 2 is sense of security. Number 3 is self-confidence. How come I give my child a self-confidence when I'm all the time criticizing him? All the time say, why you are wearing this clothes? Why you are combing your hair in this way? Why you are speaking in that way? Why? All these whys are eating from the body of the personality of your child. So don't be a criticizer. Don't be a skillful criticizer all the time. Please train yourself to look to your child with admiration eyes. I love you. Wow, how did you do this? You are marvelous. Tell this joke again. You are fantastic. I didn't see any child like this. Jazakallahu khairan. You are a very good person. And so on. Of course, you are not going to say this when he does something bad. But I tell you, you are the last chance for the child to give a good word. Don't expect that teachers or trainers or anyone is going to provide this for your child. So you are building. You know, I have a theory about the tasks of a parent, the 3 pyramids theory. The smallest pyramid, you know the pyramids in Egypt, in Cairo. The 3 pyramids, the smallest one is to build the body of the child, to give him food, to vaccinate him from diseases, to buy him clothes, just to build the hardware, the body. The body grows because this is the easiest thing. Everyone does this. Even non-human kingdoms do this. But the more difficult pyramid in the life of your child is not eating only. It's teaching your child and letting him go to school. This is an important issue, but not the most important. Nowadays, so many of the ignorant people let their children go to school in order to compensate for the bad things that they suffered from. But this is not the most important pyramid. The most important and the third and the biggest and the unevident, unclear to so many people, unfortunately, the most important pyramid is the pyramid of the personality, the pyramid of the self-confidence. You are not caring about this at all. You are just caring about money, clothes, teaching, and about the personality, about self-confidence. You are not caring about this. This is one of your jobs, one of the most important jobs in your life. You have to look, as I've said, you know, there is a proportional relation, to my mind, there is a proportional relation between the number of the eyes that look at your child with admiration, and say, wow, what's this marvelous child? And the length of the tower of self-confidence. The celebrities, or the important people, the successful ones, the scientists, the artists, those people are having towers, very high towers, and skyscrapers of self-confidence. But unfortunately, sometimes young children, your children, are not having even one eye to look with admiration. The mother's eye even is not saved to look at him. His mother's all the time looking to him with disappointment. Why did you do this? You are a naughty boy. You are a bad girl. What's this bad thing you did? I noticed a mother who all the time used to make, instead of taking with good matching stickers and things like this to encourage her child, she all the time makes bad comments on the performance of her child, and writing, this is a big failure, for example, this is a loser. We're having a phone. Manal from Egypt. Assalamu alaikum, Manal.
Alaikum salam wa rahmatullah.
Hello, Manal. Do you have any question or comment?
First of all, I want to say that I am very happy with your program.
Thank you very much, Manal. And we are at your service all the time.
Second, I want to say something about my child. He
Yes.
is not a child. He is in the first year in the faculty. And
Second year faculty, okay. Faculty of what?
Of law.
Of law, okay.
He looked for this word with the eye of he is not interested in reading, on praying, on anything. He will just want his friends.
Yes.
And I tried many times to tell him that there is something more important than just your friends and just to think like this. Yani. He have no idea about anything. Yani.
Yeah. Okay. Is he pessimistic? He's not optimistic, or he's happy in his life, or he's not? Do you think?
He is happy with his friends, and he's happy with us if I fulfill his demands.
Yeah, yeah. But he's successful in his faculty.
No, he's the first year.
First year.
I don't know till now if he's successful or not, but he doesn't study. Study well yet.
Manal, do you find him mixing well with his friends and his group of his age group, or he's not mixing well?
Yes, he is mixing.
He's mixing well.
Yes, he's very well with his friend, and
yeah.
He's,
but at home, all the time you are ordering him, you are criticizing him, you are saying, please care about your study, you are going to fail, for example. Isn't it like this?
Please, I cannot hear you very much. Again, please.
The way you deal with your son, all the time you order him with orders, do that and study because you are going to fail, leave the friends and so on.
No, I told him that the future for the one who will study, especially in your specialization, he is in English, low English, will have a good future.
Okay, Manal, the last question.
I admire him. He is. I said to him, you are very smart. You can do it, but he didn't.
Okay, let me, Manal, ask you the last question. Do you consider the relationship between you and your son as if it is a friendship, or a mother and a child relation, or the boss and a worker?
Look, sir, I have many. I tried many times to be his friend, as a friend, but he didn't allow to me that because his father died. So he considered himself the man at home.
Okay, Manal. Thank you very much, Manal. Let me answer your question, but after the break.
You are never alone. You are never alone.
Why righteous companions? It is Islam that given us the sense of dignity. I love all of them in a way that you cannot imagine. That Umar ibn al-Khattab radiallahu anh would say something and the Quran would come down matching what he said. والسابقون الأولون من المهاجرين والأنصار والذين اتبعوهم بإحسان رضي الله عنهم ورضوا عنه. Just compare what you did for Islam with just one of them.
Dear viewers, Hoda programs can be watched in the English section of the in-flight entertainment directory on board all Saudi airline flights, domestic and international. Sit back, relax and enjoy watching Hoda's entertaining and enlightening shows on your trip. Hoda wishes you a safe and successful journey. Hoda, a light in every home.
series of programs where we look into this important topic of zakah, how to understand it, how to implement it, some of the rulings that are upon all of us, especially those who have to pay the zakah.
You must understand how much in your wealth is entitled for zakah. In America, how much tax you pay if you're a doctor, for instance, and you make like $300,000-$400,000. Stop looking at how much you're paying. Zakah on the wealth of an orphan is a subject by itself.
To the world that Islam has a solution for you.
إِمَّا إِلَى الْجَنَّةِ وَإِمَّا إِلَى النَّارِ, that indicates he's still Muslim. But he's at risk. He may go to hell, may go to heaven. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will open the door of poverty and need for this person.
You are never alone. You are never alone.
Welcome back. We are speaking in family issues today about the children's rights and what they have to do and what we have to give them. And we are answering now the question of our friend or our sister Manal before in the last segment. Manal, I want to tell you something very important. Maybe your son is the right one. He is in the first year in Faculty of Law and he wants to live his own life. He's now not less than 17 years old. He's not a mature man, but you have to treat him in a friendly way, because in the words you have said, it means or it seems that you are trying hardly to be a friend of him. You know what's the problem? I think, to my mind, the problem is the way you are doing with your child. Because let us discuss the rights of our children now, and I'll start by the answer of Manal. The right of the children to have fun. They have to be themselves. They have, of course, as you have said, you have to be successful. This life is the life of those who are working well. I believe in this, okay. But in the same time, put in your mind is that the stage, the last 7 years, the third 7 years, we have to play in the first 7 years, as they say. We have to care in the second 7 years. We have to discipline our children. And they say in the last 7 years, you have to be a friend. From 14 to 21, you have to be a friend. This is the key of the room. Okay? So, it's my right to live the way I like. It's my right to choose my friends. And the choice of friends is from the faculty you chose for him. This is the way you tried or you helped your child or your son to live in. So what's the problem? Please, let him feel that he is, that you trust him, that he is, you can trust that he's going to success, even if you found him not studying. To my mind, most of the students in faculties like law and commerce and literature, many of the things are learned by heart. So in the last month, as they say usually, the last 1 month or 2 months, they study well and they gain success. Better than criticizing your child is to encourage him and to even apparently, you just try to appear that you are confident that he's going to success. Smile to him, try to feel relaxed, put a mask on your face and smile. Because this anxious or this irritated way of raising your young man is not going to get you successful, and he's going to leave you. Let me discuss other rights other than Manal's question. It's my right to have a good pregnancy. What does this mean? If you didn't, I speak to the pregnant women or to women who are in the first months, 3 months, for example, of pregnancy. Some young women or new mothers who are for the first time pregnant, we call them in medicine primey. We call them the primees. The primees sometimes act carelessly. They do not care about the baby or about the fetus. They eat what they want, they smoke, some other people take alcohols or anesthesias or drugs or something like this. And they are getting nervous and they fight and they shout and. The end result is that the children are going to be affected. The fetus, the baby is going to be affected organically. He might have congenital anomalies. We have a telephone now, please. Basira from Nigeria. Basira is our friend. She is calling us all the time. Assalamu alaikum, Basira. Basira, you are with us? Assalamu alaikum, Basira. Okay, maybe it's cut off. Again, back to the right of pregnancy. Please, we are speaking to the mothers, the pregnant women. Be careful about your movements, about the food you eat. Don't be selfish. I don't want to eat this. I don't want to drink milk. I don't want. No, it's not a matter of freedom for you now. Now you are responsible for another child. You are responsible for another spirit in your body. It's your child's body. Maybe it's a new experience, but you have to know this. It's his right to eat well and to drink well and to feel well and try to search for something that makes you happy. Another right, before this right, there is another right, which is the right choice. I have to choose a good mother, or I have to choose a good father for my child. Because sometimes people meet other people and all of a sudden they get married, and the end result is a child that acts in a way. I think Basira is back with us now. Assalamu alaikum, Basira. Basira from Nigeria. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam.
How are you, Basira?
I'm very fine, thank you.
That's good. Do you have any comment or questions?
What I'm saying is,
Pardon? I can't hear you.
from what age that the children have their own right to do whatever they want to do? From what age, please?
Yeah, well, I understood from, Basira, of course, all the time we have to supervise our children and to lead them, but the way we lead our children differs from a stage to another. Okay? So the last...
But I heard you now say they have their own right to choose their friends.
Yes, yes. Well, in the last 7 years, starting from 14 up to 21, let them, please put in your mind that you chose a school for him, or you chose a faculty for him, or you chose a job for him. Unfortunately, some bad friends, for example, are present in this environment. You cannot tell him sharply, don't mix with these children, because you chose the environment. I want to thank you first, Basira, because all the time Basira is cooperating with us and asking us questions and giving and taking from us. So this is the spirit I want for this program. So thank you very much, Basira, and all the friends from Nigeria. To continue, our children, no way, inevitably, they are going to bring sometimes friends who are not, to our minds, good. But the way is not to tell them, do not mix with this friend. You can cautiously observe or look at the situation without speaking. You can even wear a mask, as I've said, and say, well, good. But not more than this. Do not show admiration, of course, to a friend that you don't like. But in the same time, let your child or let your son go into his experiment, and he is going to find the result. And pray for him. You have to pray for him. Because sometimes we don't have anything to do except praying and asking God to help our children and leading them indirectly by ways of friendship. We have another telephone call. Abdullah from Egypt. Assalamu alaikum.
Assalamu alaikum, doctor.
How are you, Abdullah?
Alhamdulillah, fine.
Ah.
Actually, I like this topic a lot, and
thank you.
I find it very interesting because I made some research on this point, okay, but from Islamic point of view.
Yeah.
Anyhow, I like just to, I have a comment, not a question actually.
Please go on.
Okay. I like to add that, children's rights are, Islam cherishes these rights and paid them great attention. For example, the Prophet ﷺ used to play with his grandchildren, Al-Hassan and Hussein, and used to let them ride over his back while praying, and didn't, for example, reproach them or rebuke them.
Yes, yes.
And some of these rights also mentioned by Umar ibn Khattab radiallahu anhu in a hadith, that one should choose the righteous mother for a child. Actually, I like this point a lot because this means Islam gave attention for children's rights even before their coming.
بالضبط. Yes.
Okay?
Sure.
And for example, and letting them learn knowledge of Quran, reading, stuff like this, and choosing good names for them. This point, Islam gave much attention to it, that the Prophet ﷺ sometimes changes the names of some people, and in order to give them good names.
Good names.
Yeah. And actually, as you know nowadays, a lot of families suffer from domestic violence. Islam also gave attention to this point, and the Prophet ﷺ said, don't slap anyone at his face.
Thank you, Abdullah. Thank you, Abdullah, very much.
Thank you, Doctor.
Thank you for the participation, Abdullah. And I think you've mentioned so many rights in this. One of them is the right of having a good name, because unfortunately some people really call their children bad names and give them bad names, and they inherit the bad name, and all the time people are making fun of them. And by mentioning also these rights, we have to remember the right of playing and storytelling. I have to have, and this may be the answer to some of the questions by Basira and the other friends, is that you have, it's a task, it's a duty, it's a responsibility for the parent to play and to give stories to his children and to make fun of his life, to make his life is full of fun. Play with him, targeted plays or targeted games that are not trifle, and sometimes you play just for fun without any aim. Another right is the right of a good fame. The right of a good fame. What does this mean? This means that you have to respect me. For example, a father of a child who had a child, and he's making relations with other women, who is working a work that is causing insult to him or to his family. This is not a good thing for the child. Sometimes, also some people have children with special needs. For example, autistic children or retarded children, or having difficulties in study, or slow learners. And unfortunately, the father is saying this everywhere. Wherever he goes, he says, oh, I have a child who's having learning difficulties. He's dumb, he's stupid, he's not concentrating and focusing. Well, this is not good. His right is to guarantee that his fame and his name is not insulted by any other people. His life and his CV or his all the data about his life is not for common use by other people. Another right is the right of what's called lulling. What does this mean? This means that it's not all the time an important issue to be serious with your child. Sometimes you have to laugh. Sometimes you have to put him on your lap, play with him. Sometimes the child says, Papa, I want to do so, I want to do, and he changes his voice. Well, we consider these children as spoiled children. But to my mind, you have to leave him for a while to do this, because it's his right. This is the only chance that the child is going to fulfill this condition of unseriousness. You have to lull him. Also, but not to spoil him. Also, another right is to let him ask you questions, because sometimes people do not like questions. So you have to let him ask indirect questions. Papa, where is the sun? He says, well. The answer is not in the north, in the south, or up or low. You answer him with a question. When you wake up and open your eye, where the light comes from? This makes his brain works. Well, I think there are so many rights that we have to discuss, and I want to close with one right, which is the care of the environment of raising, and maybe this is the answer of Noha's question, which is that bad environment cause irritated, unsuccessful, and unself-confident children. I think our time is over. Thank you very much for connecting with us, for all our friends, and remember that I receive your emails on familyissues@huda.tv. Thank you very much for follow-up, and we'll meet, inshallah, in the next episode. So, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
You are never alone. You are never alone. Through sorrow and through grief, through happiness and peace, you are never alone. So now, as you long for your past, Prepare for your future, but knowing nothing's gonna last. You see, this life is but a road, a straight and narrow path to our final abode. So travel well, O Muslim, and paradise will be your home. And always remember that you are never